Perfect.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MnSearch Live in all of the places we are actually broadcasting on YouTube, LinkedIn, X, and hopefully Instagram. We're not sure about the Instagram, y'all. Instagram, funny, but I'm Michelle Stinson-Ross. I am the president of MnSearch, and I am here with one of the other members of the MnSearch board, Casey Cornell. Casey, do you want to tell folks a little bit about who you are and what spot you serve on the MnSearch board?
Yeah, I am a co-director of marketing. I'm Casey Cornell, and I am also the founder of Ope Brands, which is a digital consulting company. So that's what I've been doing over the last year or so. And happy to be here, happy to talk about GA4, happy to talk about MnSearch and all the good things that kind of we got cooking.
Cool. So let's start a little bit personal with you, and why is MnSearch important to you? Why was it so important that you went from being just a member to being on the board?
Yeah, so I've been a member for probably over 10 years now. I really got introduced to it back in 2013 when I was working. And here's a shout out to all my people who kind of helped me get into it. So I was working at Thomson Reuters Fine Law I was doing an internship back there, and kind of got introduced to it to that group of friends that I still follow a ton of you on LinkedIn. So if you're watching this, what up? But so I got to it back then and just kind of followed it through the years. I've watched and followed a bunch of the people in Minnesota, Minneapolis market kind of go in and out. Some of them held board member seats. Some of them became entrepreneurs. Some of them worked for agencies. And so I just felt like those were like my people, right? In the sense of I felt like that's me. And so I wanted to just kind of join the board and kind of help continue the path forward to kind of education on digital marketing. It's changed over since I started, it's changed. We were talking the other day where it's like we went through the times where we were just doing SEO, then I went to SEO PPC, then I went to social blowing up, then I went to video content. And so kind of through all of that, you just learn there's so many different paths and parts of the kind of digital marketing that you can really enjoy. And now I think we're kind of seeing a cross blend again of more people looking to become generalists as well. And so this group is great for that because you get just a ton of different perspectives, whether it's web, SEO, PPC, analytics, content, copywriters. Am I missing anybody? Who else is?
Oh my gosh, it's like everything anymore. I mean, it's like SEO is just not SEO. It's like It's all the things, right?
Yeah. I actually just changed my LinkedIn bio that says "Got bored, learned SEO" because it's just kind of cheeky, right? In the sense of it's changed so much over the years. It's still changing. It's still evolving. Search is changing, and so I'm just really here to kind of help. And one of the funny things that I realize is when you're in your kind of pocket of feeling comfortable, right? Of just doing your job. Let's say you've worked for somewhere for 5 years, 10 years. You kind of get really used to just those people around you, your coworkers and some of that stuff. And so my biggest thing about being a part of this group is the fact that I realize that in digital marketing, you have to learn, you have to network, you have to, constantly be on it, if in a sense. And that's what this group it's my gut check, right? To say hey, go meet people. Hey, go out, go to the networking events, go meet some people and just see some things that you can and talk about some things that you could possibly bring back to your business and implement. Or, if you're ever at a problem, jump into Slack and just kind of ask the group and say hey, has anybody worked on this or kind of felt stuck on this perspective? And surprisingly, actually, I'm not surprising because it's Minnesota nice, right? Everybody just kind of jumps in there, and next thing you know, you have your answer. You get to meet some new people. You get to have coffee with some other people, and
Exactly.
you're just really feeling like you're a part of this kind of digital community inside the Minneapolis pocket, if you will.
Awesome. Okay, so Casey didn't know. I didn't even know I was going to do this until I just decided a moment ago to do this. But Casey, we have open board seats, so I'm actually going to drop the link to,
Nice.
hey, we have open board seats. if you guys want to join the board and hang out with Casey, with me, with all the other great people on the board, then please fill out the application. We've got one more open seat for marketing. So you could actually be part of the marketing department with Casey. There's one more open seat there. We've got open seats for events, for DEIB, I'm going to forget them all, but trust me, no matter where you are in your career, we've got a spot for you on the board, and it gives you a chance to actually help craft what MnSearch becomes as we continue to navigate post-COVID, all that kind of stuff. Because yeah, COVID has really caused us to really change how we think about how we do our events at MnSearch. And there's plenty of room for you guys to speak into that and participate. So sorry, had to do a plug there, but worth it.
No, I think it's good. And I think just a note on that, I think it's interesting, right? Because the way that we interacted pre-COVID, the way that people interacted, right? So pre-COVID was a lot of like in-person networking. It was a lot of people kind of going like, yep, okay, I know that MnSearch is like one time a month and there's an event, whether it's a workshop or an in-person networking event, and then people would go do that. And there was probably a good handful of people. COVID obviously made everybody go online and changed the dynamic of how we like kind of got used to that of like work from home, right? Like let's just look at that whole thing, right? You go from not working from home, and people go, no, this is nice. Like I have my life, I got my life back. I feel like I got my more freedom out of my day. And then you come out of it, and we're kind of in that space now where it's like online communities are booming, right? There's Slack channels that are being created. There's I used to not be a part of any Slack channel. Like I couldn't ever figure out why people used to like Microsoft Teams or Slack over Microsoft Teams. And I just couldn't understand it because I always worked in organizations where Microsoft Teams was like the thing from like a collaboration piece. And then I joined the Slack team and I was like, I'm never going back, right? I just like, I get it. I understand that it's just a way, like a cooler place to collaborate. There's a lot of like different things. You can video chat with people. Mm-hmm. And so with MnSearch, here's my plug, right? MnSearch has a Slack channel that you get access into when you become a board member. And so you get access into just like, not only just being a part of the community of like going to events every month, but you also get a part of that Slack channel, which is like active, where we just kind of like BS and talk through digital, right? Like if something happens that day, or the biggest one that we were kind of chatting about is the search rollout, right? The changing of that type of thing. So if you like that type of stuff, if you want to feel like you're part of something kind of up to date, kind of see what other people in the industry and like real digital marketers are like talking about, that's a great spot for that. But also, I forgot that we didn't even realize that this is kind of like a coffee chat. So let's first talk about like, what's your favorite coffee? Yeah. What's your favorite kind of like coffee brew? Are you a dark roast, a light roast, a crafty kind of a person?
I can start the ball rolling on that. So I tend to be like a medium roast. I don't like my coffee particularly bitter, but I do like it strong.
Yep.
Okay. So and I like the ritual of coffee, by the way. For medical reasons, I have to have decaf rather than regular, or at least half calf. I can't go full bore anymore, but I still like the smell of coffee. I still like the ritual of making it. And
the routine, right? It's the routine. Yeah. There's something about the routine. Yeah.
And here, I've kind of wedded my low trash ethos with my coffee making. I don't do like Keurig pods or anything like that. I actually do a pour over. So every morning I literally fill up a kettle and put it on the cooktop to let it boil and whistle, and then I pour my boiling water over my pour over setup, and that's how I do my coffee. So that's
I love it. I love it. So back when everybody went from home, I went and bought I've tried multiple coffee things. Like I feel like I became a coffee junkie. And I bought the whole espresso machine, one of the really nice ones, so you could do that, and you could make your little cappuccinos and all that stuff. Like if for anybody who's like apartment living, typically the nice ones have that down in the cafe or the lobby. Like that's what I basically turned my home into. When bought this like really nice coffee setup, and so I got this little nook there. And then also if I'm on the road, if I'm going somewhere like today, Starbucks, my coffee is the salted caramel cream cold brew. That's a mouthful. And what's funny? I'm a beer snob as well. So like I'll go in sometimes and say like I'll take the caramel or the what do I call it? The cold brew. I'll just like call it beer. And so I'm at the counter ordering a beer and it
Oh,
doesn't
the
make any
nitro,
sense.
the
Yeah,
nitro
like
cold brew.
it's like I don't know. It's probably a problem. I don't know. Maybe
I
some
live in
people maybe.
downtown St. Paul, so I don't hit up a Starbucks very often. We've got 3 Caribou coffee available
Yeah,
in like the lower town. There's
yeah.
2 Caribou in the Skyways, and there's 1 extra at Lund's in downtown St. Paul. So I have a few Caribou options and 0 Starbucks options. So I'm
I used I,
usually at a Caribou.
I used to frequent that Caribou up by the Excel Energy Center. Is that the one that you're talking about? On the
Uh,
bottom of the hill there by the water?
oh no, that one's an extra. I don't even
Yeah.
most of the time I don't get as far as the XL. You're right. There is one off
Yeah, there's one up there.
too. But when I do go to Starbucks, I do like the nitro cold brew. It's really smooth. Again, me and bitter. Most of the heat brewed coffees, especially from Starbucks, the way they roast their beans, come out really bitter.
Yeah.
And I like the nitro cold brew because of how smooth and everything it is. Um, and I know I put it up visually, but for those of you watching, please, you are more than welcome to participate in the conversation. Drop your comments, questions, whatever in chat. We can see them regardless of what channel you're in. I can see your comments in our chat feed here in Restream, and we can definitely chime in and talk about whatever it is you want to talk about.
How many
Honestly,
people we got in here? I can't even see. Where do you see
we've got
that?
9 so far.
Let's go. Who's all in
Let's
here? Let's shout
go.
them out.
So next topic, GA4. So
Analytics.
analytics has been, when you think about it, we often talk about data-driven business, right? That
Yep.
supposedly, regardless of what business or industry we're in, we're supposed to be using data in order to drive our business decisions, our pricing decisions, our marketing, messages, all of the things. But are we really doing a good job of minding how we collect, process, report on the data that apparently is critical to our business? Like, did the change from Universal to GA4 mess up something in our processes?
Yes, it changed the game. It changed the game.
Totally
Changed all of it. For all the digital marketers out there. Yeah. So like for all the digital marketers out there, like I remember, I think we all went through this phase of like we went back like 15 years somewhere, right? Like I remember when I got really good at Universal, like to the point where in one of my first jobs, it was a pretty data driven company. And so I actually was thinking about going back to get my master's in data and analytics and like big data. And like, I got really good at it back then. And so like, I felt comfortable, right? I felt like Universal was my like in the pocket, I'm playing the drums, I'm in the pocket, like anything that comes up, I had it. I could go find it. I could work my way backwards if I didn't have proper tracking on something. I could work my way backwards. And now when when GA4 came out, it was like I felt like a whole new. I felt lost, and I feel like a lot of people probably feel that way. And I'm sure a lot of people still feel that way now, right? We're coming up on like the 1-year anniversary of the true like turnover, right? Because some people were in it before. They got the head start. They jumped on it in January, and then there's some people who like I just audited an account and they just like turned their GA4 accounts on 2 months ago. So it's one of those things where if you're not somebody who's in it every day, you don't have a digital marketer who's in it every day, you're not actively pulling in analytics data every day. Um, it could get lost. And it's one of those things that, like, let's just say you did turn it on, it's not over. It doesn't stop, and it never stopped, because GA4 is not an out of the box product. Like,
Mhm.
Universal had a lot of things where you could just turn some signals on. You could get 90% of your data. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you could get enough of it. GA4 really turned the game, and it really like transformed the way that we collect. And also, when you look at year over year data collection, they're not the same. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio.
No.
And that's probably the hardest thing I think of, for people who are in big business and, looking to like see what we did last year and try to match it to universal analytics. And then they saw a huge drop off of like, well, there was X amount of sessions with UA, and now we have substantially less sessions or more, right? Like, you would see this huge gap of like where the data doesn't map correctly together. And people are like, well, I hate this. I don't like this. It's a more true kind of way of data collection, right? So there's really the 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 way that it processes, which is your web streams are a big thing, right? So like cross channel attribution, trying to think of just a high level stuff of like, you get your reporting, attribution reporting, streams, the way that you process events, conversions, events can turn into conversions. And so like,
Right.
you think about all of that stuff and you're like, yeah, it's not the same. Just not the same.
Well, and I think it's taken us back to really thinking about what is it we need to know? Like,
Yep.
what is it we need to track outside of what tool we use to track it? What do we need to track? And I know our workshop leader that's going to be here later this month was talking about that data plan. Like,
Yeah.
what is it that you need to like track and think out? And even though you may not be paying attention to certain signals right now, are there signals that you possibly may want to use in the future? Are there
Yeah.
questions about customer behavior or whatever that you may have later on? You're not going to be able to answer that if you aren't tracking it now, right?
Correct. Yeah. Or like the business, like what we were just talking this past week at our board meeting, right? Where it's like, it's the fact that if you want to create a business case for something that could be futuristic, and then at that time when you're about ready to present, you're going, oh, I need to go get this data to support this piece of it. And then you
Mhm.
realize that there's no data. There's nothing, because you didn't set it up, right? You weren't
Right.
tracking the stuff for the prior year to say, well, we believe. And then it becomes a gut instinct versus like
Mhm.
using data backed metrics to help you support that business case, which could help take that project from an idea to actually getting through it. And you're like, well, you don't have enough. You don't have good data. You don't have enough of data, or you don't have any data, right?
Mhm.
That's
And
really what you kind of up against.
there's no way to turn back the time machine and get the
Correct.
data that was probably there, but we just didn't collect it, right?
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Which is a kind of a big, because there are kind of sort of ways you could have backtracked and gotten that out of Universal, but you just can't do it anymore with GA4.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna drop just off data collection on the data collection topic. I'm gonna drop a quick tip for anybody who's watching this later on this call. If you're in your Google Analytics account, and I'm just gonna walk you through this. If you're in your Google Analytics account, one of the things that Google Analytics GA4 does is if you go into the admin panel, so on the bottom left hand side of your Google Analytics,
Mhm.
you're going to click on that, go into that admin. Under the data collection and modification, there's actually a data collection um, toggle there. And one of the biggest things from a data collection perspective is that this is the new, like, kind of Google signals, right? You're going to want to go through all of these screens and make sure that all of these are checked on. So one of the first ones is Google Signals data collection. Then you're going to toggle that on. It's a little blue checkbox. Then you're going to scroll down and make sure that your um, IDs are being collected as well, user IDs. So you're going to open up that drop down box and make sure that that one's turned on. Then you're going to check on the granular location and data collection as well.
Yep.
And then you're going to drop down to the very bottom, which is the user data collection acknowledgement, and acknowledge all of this. this is basically what used to be kind of like your demographic data collection, right? Where these are all the signals that Google Ads use. This is a signal that any kind of remarketing kind of helps use. And this is your like true kind of profile around these things. And what's interesting is that this is like not, remember when we talk about like out of the like box product, these are
Hmm.
typically all turned off in your traditional product. So if you don't have these turned on, you're not getting a true like rich data collection of like your users. And I just thought that was super interesting. And the more that I've audited, this is like one of the audit check boxes if you're going to go audit your Google Analytics GA4 accounts, is to make sure that like these signals are turned on, because why not collect as much data as possible, right? On your users.
Do you have that screen open on a tab?
I do in a separate
There
tab. Is
is
there a
a
way that I can?
share option here in Restream if you want to use it and actually show people that screen.
Let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. Okay. You tell me if you can see it, if it's up right now.
Yep,
I'll go
it is
all the
now
way
on.
back. Okay,
It is
perfect. So I'll go all the way back. I'll walk my way through this. So in the bottom, in the left-hand corner here, you're going to go to admin. You're going to get this admin panel. You're going to go down here to data collection. And here's kind of like, so let's just say yours is collapsed like this. You see all of these data collections. You're basically going to open this up, and most of the time it's turned off like this, right? So you're going to want to like check this on, come down here, open it up. You can read through some of this information. I won't spend any time on here. These were all, obviously I've turned these on. Here's the other one right here.
Mhm.
Automatically collect, user provided data. You're going to turn on this granular device here. This one's typically turned off like this as well. So you're going to want to turn this on. And then you're going to come down into the final acknowledgement. And this typically, if you haven't acknowledged it, there'll be a little button here that says like, yep, I acknowledge it. This is basically saying like, I agree to Google's terms and conditions, and you're going to acknowledge this.
Right.
So
And
this is
make
a
sure,
good one.
can you go back down to that a moment? Because I want to point out to people that
Yep.
you have to disclose that you're collecting this. So in particular, this disclosure is necessary for anybody who gets traffic from people in the state of California, as well
Mm-hmm.
as from Canada or from the EU, GDPR. One of the big reasons why the switch to GA4 was to be in compliance with GDPR in Europe. And that's the reason why all these things are initially toggled off instead of default to everything on, collecting everything. Now we have to make the purposeful decision to collect things and make sure
Correct.
that we disclose to our user that we are collecting this information
Right.
because of privacy.
Here's
Like,
another one. I got another tip for you too on that. So on the same topic, if you go into data retention right here, this is typically toggled to 2 months. So this is like, I just set up this account. And so typically these are set like this.
mhm.
And so you want to come in, and if you want longer data, make sure that your data is turned to 14 months to the maximum amount and click save. So if you want me to walk you back out that way, same thing, you're going to go back into the admin panel. I know that you could see it on the property settings here. And then you're going to come down here to the same section under data retention.
Cool.
And you're going to see it populated here. So those are like just two quick kind of like things, gut check things from an audit perspective, to go in and make sure that you're on and do that on every single account, right? Like I got a bunch of accounts, and if you don't remember to do this as like a one sweep and go through and make sure, you're probably not going to have it, right? So there's that. I'll stop sharing and kind of jump back in here. But yeah, those are just like two quick tips of like from an auditing perspective of how to kind of get in there and do that. So yeah, and you're going to learn some of these types of like tips and tricks too through this workshop that's coming up on March 27th at Voro. It's in Minneapolis, Voro Agency. And do we want to talk a little bit about that? Like some of the deeper kind of, and this one's, we're going to go into like e-commerce tracking there too, right? So it's not just for your, what would you call it? Like lead gen kind of business. It's for the deep, rich stuff that we're going to be going over from a high level. Like what I just showed you, to me, is like grazing the
That's
top, right? It's
basic
like,
regardless. Yeah,
it's
that's regardless of what
correct,
your business is, those are adjustments and settings that you probably
correct.
want to take a look at. Whereas with what we're doing, this is definitely an advanced workshop. This is not like going through the checklist of did you set your GA4 up correctly. This is like taking a deep dive into, okay, if you're an ecom business, what
Mm,
things are important for you to track? What do you need to set up specifically for an ecom business? Or what do you need to set up specifically for like a publication? Like you need to track how many people, how long they're on the page, all this sort of stuff so that you can get the most for your ad placement, because that's how you
right.
make your money. Lots of different options. And of course, Alan Connect, our workshop leader, will be doing live Q&A. He has a live demo site that we're going to have set up. This is legit a workshop. This isn't like a come hang out, have food, and listen to a 30-minute talk. Alan's got
Hmm.
the entire 2 hours, and he's going to be going through all kinds of stuff. Happy Tuesday to you too, Brett. Hi, welcome. Um, so
Hey,
yeah,
Brett.
um, what more do we want to, I have, this is the link. The link is live in our YouTube chat already. I will be dropping it once we've closed the live event in the rest of our channels. Some of the
Yeah.
channels I can post it to, others it's read only. Hey, Abel Johnson's here. Abel is another one of our board members. Thanks for popping in, Abel. So this is your opportunity to take a deep dive into analytics and really customize it for what your website, for what your business needs. And I just made an update to this page this morning. We have been offering people a $35 discount coupon for this workshop. It's normally $97. I actually just went in and changed the price in the registration form from 97 to 62. So we have made the decision to basically make that $35 off available to everybody. So if you go to this link right here and start filling out the registration form, you will see that registration, that the ticket price has dropped from 97 to 62. We went ahead and applied that $35 discount for you because we need butts in seats, as our colleague here, Eric, says fairly often. I will also tell you that there are only 20 seats left. No, it's 19. There are only 19 seats left at this
Nice.
point. So if you
Yeah.
want to be there in person and be able to like pull Alan over to your screen and go, what is this? Help me fix it. Then you need to hurry up and get tickets because there's only 19 left. And we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to be at Voro in the room with Alan, not only to learn from Alan and have a chance to talk to him face to face, but also talk to the rest of the people attending and really make those important connections. So 19 seats left. You guys better get your tickets now.
Yeah, there's two, I would say if you think that this event is just for like a digital marketing manager, maybe we should throw out some job titles that this goes into, right? I
Yeah.
kind of dropped it in one of the things, right? So like most of the time people go, oh, this is just for maybe a digital marketing manager, or maybe if you work at an agency, you're a digital specialist, right? Or I don't know, an account manager. Like I think that this getting GA4 is so new still across the entire industry that, you know, coming in and just really understanding the landscape of just like whether you're learning about the capabilities of GA4 or whether you're learning about true deep e-commerce tagging, lead gen tagging, all of those things, like if you want to learn how to track better form submissions and make sure that like you're collecting that information that you can throw up on a dashboard, this is kind of like that what that workshop is for, right? We'll go through some high level stuff. Alan's going to go into some super deep rich stuff as well. We're going to go into probably I'm assuming that he's going to throw up something on Looker Studio. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're there's kind of a different means of collecting the data. So I personally like using Looker Studio for dashboards. I'm a visual person, I'm a visual learner. And so I like actually being able to populate my GA4 data and pull it into Looker Studio versus the alternative is creating reports in the actual GA4 product, right? So you can do that as well. And so we're going to be going through kind of all of those things. And also, I mean, Alan's amazing, right? The guy's
Mhm.
super intelligent. He loves this stuff. He's like a data analyst at heart. He's a data nerd, if you want to call it, right? So he's even on your call, right? He went into this topics around just being able to use data in a storytelling way.
Right.
And this is more of like that hands-on, like, okay, open up an account, whether you have an account or looking over the shoulder of somebody. I mean, I personally will have my laptop there, have a bunch of accounts, everything from like lead gen, e-commerce,
Mhm.
that if anybody's wanting to look at something, I'll gladly show you what it looks like and how to access it and how to tag some of that stuff as well. And then he'll even go into the deep stuff, which is the how do you track users' behavior and how to turn some of those into conversions, like you said, 50 to 75, 100% scroll down, videos,
Mhm.
form submissions. I'm trying to think of anything else that like how many you can track if people look at products, right? If you how many people not only just add to the cart, but just clicking on the product itself, so you can start to see what is maybe your favorite top product viewed product from an e-com perspective, right? Maybe you pull that product to the forefront of your website because more people are looking for these things. You just get better, rich data of being able to be actionable with it versus sitting there going like, okay, what product is top sellers? You're like, well, this is our top selling, like this is the most viewed product page, but there's all these other signals that kind of get people to that point too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That you could be missing and never know.
Right. And Alan is going to have links and things available so that the Looker Studio dashboards that he's created already, you
Mhm.
can get them, plug them in, and start using them right away. So it's not just training coming up on the
Right.
27th, but you will actually have things that you can take away with you and start using immediately.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for this one. I've taken a couple GA4 workshops. Um, One of them, I'll shout her out, Mia from Clickvoyant.
Mhm.
She was a great one. She has a great cohort too. If you just want to learn like high level, and she kind of walks you through from an e-commerce lead gen perspective as well. That's a really good one. So if anybody's also looking for some alternatives, I know Alan does some. Does he do some consulting for
Alan
people as
does
well?
quite a bit of consulting. So a lot
Yep.
of the data and knowledge that he brings to this is from constantly implementing GA4 and setting up specific instances. I have actually
Yep.
worked with several of his clients in tandem with him. Like I run social media ads and search ads and stuff like that. And so when I get a chance to work with him on a client, we can really dial in exactly, you know, what our UTM naming conventions are, all those
Yeah.
sorts of things, so that we can track it as optimally as we possibly can. Because if we're paying to send traffic to a particular page, we definitely want to know what's going on that page.
Yeah.
And it is an absolute joy to work with Alan on a client and make sure that everything is working exactly as we need it to work. So
Yeah.
yes, Alan takes on clients all the time, and he's done everything from small businesses to large enterprise companies. Some of the data packages that he's accustomed to dealing with are massive.
Mm. Yeah, one of the things too that you said that like really stuck out there was the way that you're tracking and like underscore snake case, right? Of how
Mhm.
Google Analytics GA4 uses snake case, which is um, first underscore page, right? Type of string. And so the way that you're actually writing this out, most people use like dashes or hyphens or capitals, and GA4 is case sensitive as well.
Yes, it is.
That's one thing that people don't know either, right?
Yep.
It's case sensitive.
Well,
And so it
and
can really throw up all your data if you don't know how to like keep it streamlined and have, okay,
mhm.
when we're tagging things, it's this process, and when we're having this is how we're collecting the data and using this. And kind of goes back to the old like UTM days, right? Where it's like you have a cadence of how all of your UTMs go. So when you go look for the data, you go to retrieve it,
Mhm.
it's actually collecting the way that you want it to be collected, you know?
Yeah. I know I've run into an instance just recently. So one client that I work with uses Marketo, Salesforce, and GA4. And we wound up having to go with dashes because of Marketo. So even though GA4 does have a preference for underscores and all lowercase, because we also need this data to work inside of Marketo, we had to go with dashes for a lot of things.
Yeah.
So again, you need to be able to understand your entire data stack and not just your GA4,
Right.
but understand all of your tools are processing data, so that when you're doing something as simple as a UTM tag, that it's going to work not only in GA4, but in Marketo or Adobe or any of the other things that you might use to collect and process data. So
yeah, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one yet of like a business use case or an analytics use case for a different means of doing it. I mean, I know some people do it just because when you think about a URL structure, right? It's always like use the dashes versus underscores in that scenario. That makes sense. From a GA4 perspective, they flip the script, right? And everything is like a snake case on which is the underscore, right? But yeah, I haven't seen that. I personally haven't come across any of my clients.
GA4 will still read the dashes and whatever, but it comes down to the consistency of it. Like if you want to make sure that everything about that campaign lands in the same spot, you have always got to use the same UTM conventions. So that's part of the reason why it's like, just pick one, but know why you're picking it to do it that way, and make sure that you're consistent in doing it that way, so that you do gather all of the data that you need, that you're not missing it or it wound up in a different bucket or any number of things.
Yeah, for sure. I always think too, like at big corporations, right, or big companies that have multiple people doing this. That's when that is like super important, because it's easy to like change you if like a single person, right? If it's me working on one of my clients' accounts, it's like I can go in and know why I did it, but I don't really need to document it. I try to document it anyways, just for like the sake of having it. But imagine when you have a team of like data analysts or digital marketers or digital specialists who are all kind of in it, in the same thing, doing the same process, and one person has
certain team members that are doing paid, other team members that are doing
organic. That's a good.
Plus, you've got somebody else doing content creation off in the corner over here, creating actual web pages, and you've got to make sure that everybody's on board with the same procedure for creating those UTM tags.
Right, for sure. Yeah, it's a big deal. Hi, Kitty.
We have to have the data cat here for a little bit.
Data cat.
Bye, Ginger.
Ginger 4. We're called Ginger 4. Cool. Well, I know that we're kind of over, but
we're over time just a little bit. But hey, just another reason to sip some more coffee, right?
Yeah. Cheers. Cool. Well, I hope that everybody who wants to come this, reach out to somebody, whether it's myself or Michelle, and they want to come. If you want more information, or just, if you can't make it and you still want to like talk around GA4, we're going to have some more events probably around the topic as well. So just look out for some of those, probably have some more. I really like these. I really like the LinkedIn Live type of style where, not everybody can come to a 6 to 8 o'clock event. So, one of the things that we may do is start doing a little bit more of these and just coming in here and chatting about just digital, whether it's search or GA4, paid, whatever. And so one of my goals is to pull in some people around the Twin Cities to kind of do something like this, right? Where we just talk about what you're doing, what you're working on, some nuances, some cool things, some things that like people believe are like entry level basic stuff. But at the end of the day, it's actually like knowledge that a lot of people don't really know. Like I love those little like tidbits when people are chatting. And so, we may do that. And I hope that more people follow the LinkedIn account as well. If you're not and you're watching this, go follow MnSearch account, and you'll have all of this kind of up-to-date information. Get to hang out with us too.
Fantastic. Casey Cornell, thank you very much. I hope everybody has a great day.
Yeah, see ya.